Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters, beloved viewers of Imam Hussein TV number 3. Welcome once again to another episode of Behind the Wheel. We're very honored to have with us someone who's traveled, I was going to say halfway across the world, but probably more. Our dear friend Sayyid Rada Al-Musawi. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyidna.
Alaikum assalam.
Shino akhbarak, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, how you
You
doing?
well?
All good, man.
God bless you. So for those that can't make out the accent, yeah, Sayyid is from Australia.
Ahsant, yes.
So it's taking you about 3 days to travel here to London.
Yeah, man. I had to go through 3 continents just to come here.
Wow, mashallah.
It's crazy, yeah.
Habibi Sayyidna, so honored to have you. So we actually haven't spent that much time together before the show. We met a few times.
Yes.
But the more I find out about you, the more I realize we have in common, by the way.
Ahsant, yeah.
So even for the brothers and sisters' benefit, we're talking about like mum, dad, family origins. Turns out literally Sayyid and I are from the same one. I've got probably 15 years being you age-wise, but that's apart from that, we're the same person, just in a different continent.
Many
basically.
people don't believe when it comes to my age. Everyone says that, oh, you look much older.
How old are you for the viewers?
22.
MashaAllah.
Yeah,
You do look a bit older than 22, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. You still have your hair, which is
No, I'm still not at an age where I'm gonna be offended when they say you look older. Yeah, once I reach a certain age, then I'll be offended.
I'm
again.
there. I'm there.
Oh yeah,
I'm
there.
there. Sayyidna, so I'm not sure if you've seen any of the episodes. I think you mentioned briefly you've seen a couple.
Yes.
So I think I'll start by just explaining the premise of what the show is about. The show is about finding out about you, but for the viewers at home and for myself to be able to learn from the life you've had so far, the lessons you've learned, and potentially there's going to be someone at home that can resonate with something as well, right?
Inshallah.
So yeah, look, be yourself. Interrupt me at any time. Add any topics or questions that you'd like to as well. أنا هواي أحكي, by the way.
Inshallah.
أنا هواي أسولف. Interrupt me whenever you want, yeah?
Yeah,
Sayyidna, I want to start by just talking about, and I know it's a weird thing to ask someone, but about your birth, because I know there's a bit of a story here, and it wasn't like a normal circumstance and a bit of a miracle, like tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so basically, my parents, they had me at a later age.
Right.
So my mother and father were around the age of like 45, 47, so it was a late age. And when my mum, she was expected to have me, the doctors, they said, look, well, there's a high possibility that he won't even be born.
Gotcha.
There's even a higher one that if he is born, he won't be like completely healthy.
Right.
It's either physically he'll not be well, or even mentally.
Right.
But that's just something you got to expect with a later, age. My mum, she heard what the doctors said, but she didn't process it. Our mothers, they don't really take to the warnings of the doctors.
Right.
She was in Qumma at the time. She went to Imam Rada. She was like, "Yeah, Imam Rada, هذا الولد, this child, if he is born, نذرت خادم لك. يعني I'll make sure that when he is born, he is your servant and he's a khadim for Ahlulbayt, and this is basically, this is your son. This is, he's a Sayyid." I was born, and even the doctors were surprised. I was a very healthy baby.
Yeah.
Overweight.
Right. But for those that can't realize in the car, when I sit with some guests, there's a lot of space around us.
Yeah.
Mashallah, the Sayyid's a very big lad as well.
And you're even bigger, so it doesn't really sit. So yeah, healthy baby, everything was good. Alhamdulillah. My mom was very happy to hear that.
It's a beautiful thing to be told later on in life that you were nadar for an imam, like you've been promised to be the servant of an imam.
Of course, it was a pleasure. And then she said, when you were 2 years old, we were taking you for the very first time to ziyarah, to Imam Rada.
Right.
She was like, you're just walking. She said, you're walking in front of us, and me and your dad are walking behind you. All of a sudden, you go to the haram of Imam Rada, you go to the guy that's cleaning, that's sweeping the floor. You take the broom off his hand.
No way.
And he just starts sweeping.
Wow.
She was like, this isn't, she was like, this is nothing we taught you, You just started walking. You barely even talk. She was like, you got the broom off of his hand and he just started sweeping the floor of Imam
That's crazy.
And in Qom, she was like, you would frequently get lost. She was like, I don't know where you would leave. She was like, one time you got lost, the whole neighborhood's there looking for you. Yeah.
I know how different it is that you're in Australia now. We're in London. Like if I had lost my kids for like 10 minutes, I'd be like And that, I'd be all over the place. But in Qom, it's like, yeah, you frequently get lost. The whole neighborhood is looking for you.
She was like, one time you got lost, we really got worried because you took a long time.
Wow.
As if I'm going to like get something. I'm like 3 years old. She was like, you took a long time. She was like, and we started looking for you and everything. We couldn't find you. She was like, at the end, we found you next to Sayyidah Ma'sooma. We were like, what are you doing? She was like, you told me I'm going ziyarah.
That is amazing.
So it's like I'm casually 3 years old leaving the house. Yeah, Mom,
do you recall those memories from Qom, or were you too young?
No, I actually don't recall any of these.
Yeah.
But she tells me, and even the neighbors, like sometimes when we go to Iran to see them, they always repeat that story to me. They're like, at the end of it, we found you at Sayyidah Ma'sooma.
That's crazy.
And you're there telling us you were doing ziyarah. So, alhamdulillah, it was a pleasure that I was born under that nidr of the khidmah of
Ahlulbayt. Yeah, it's you know, again, it's a lovely thing because as you grow with that, then that can help stabilize. And actually, you know, if you have now, and just thinking about when I've had kids as well, it's something that my other half has done, and something that I know a lot of friends have done as well, where they do undhur and dedicate their child to an imam. It's a lovely way to shape the upbringing of that. I feel like
it's very important because we have to understand it's a psychological thing as well. When this kid is raised and he is told by his parents that you are meant to be something, like you are destined to be something, this kid feels like he's with a purpose.
I agree.
A lot of people, they grow up purposeless, but when our children, when our mothers and our fathers, they raise our children to be like, Ani nadarta khadim, you were meant to be a servant. Your purpose here, you have a purpose, is to serve the Ahlulbayt, to serve Ahlulbayt and gain the pleasure of Allah. I feel like these children will grow up with a purpose. It will create so much more stability in their lives. So I feel like it's something the mothers and fathers, I encourage them well and truly to do with their children.
Yeah, definitely. So you know, born in Qom, and then you moved quite young, or your family moved to Australia, right?
Yes, well, I moved at 2006.
Okay.
2007. So I was born 2002. Yeah. So around 5 years old.
Okay. And what were your memories like going from? Because I guess by all accounts in Qom you were probably fluent Arabic and fluent Farsi as well.
Yeah, I was fluent Farsi in Iran, and then I went to Australia, completely forgot the Farsi language.
Yeah, I can imagine so, because you had to pick up English, and a very special type of English as well.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up, you know, kind of that age in Sydney, right?
Yes, in Sydney.
Yeah.
When I first started going there, it was different than what I was used to in Qom. Again, I don't really remember a lot of it. But I kind of just, because you're there at a young age, it's pretty much like you were raised in Australia. You pretty much become a part of them. Hence why when I speak, like, you know, I don't have like a foreigner accent or anything. Because from a young age, I'm pretty much Australian in that sense.
Right.
That my culture, the way I was raised, the age that I started in, I become integrated in that culture. Started school from a young age.
Right.
You know, from kindergarten, I was pretty much learning English and everything. The first year, they had to put me through English classes.
Yep.
And the teacher told my father once, he was like, he has an American accent. My father was like...
he didn't get it from Qom.
Yeah. Like, he certainly didn't get it from Qom, so I don't know where he got it from. So, yeah, it became second nature. Pretty much became an Australian growing up.
Right, but you also had the heavy influence at the same time of being a Shia member of that society, and I think, you know, I've been told that you started also reciting at a very young age as well. Yeah.
Yes. So
how did that come about? How old are you? Tell us about that.
Yeah, when I first started reading, I was around 7-8 years old when I first started reading like Mawalid. So what it was, we would go to this Husseiniya. It was for Sheikh Al-Ansari. We know him as in Sheikh Hussein Al-Ansari. Right. So I would just attend the gatherings. Everyone knew me as, like, you know, Sayyid Rada and everything. My mum, I think it was during Sha'ban, the Mawlid of Abu Fadl Abbas, Imam Hussein. At the house, my mum would just be reciting this Hausa. It's like a form of poetry.
Was your mum ever? Did she recite as well, or was it just like...
In Qom she was here and there.
Okay.
Yeah. She used to attend the majlis of the women of the mudarrisis.
Okay.
Because we were almost neighbours.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So she would attend their majalis, but she wouldn't really read, but she would be there. So she was reciting this poetry about the Mawlid, and I just memorized it from how much she was reciting it in the house.
That's beautiful.
So I go to the Husayniyah and I tell the Sheikh, I'm like, Sheikh, now I want to read.
You asked for it?
Yeah. I was like, randomly, I was like, you know what, why don't I just read? I'm seeing everyone read it. I'm like, it's not that hard. The Sheikh got very happy. He was like, yes, beautiful. I'm going to get someone to present you. The person who presented me is my best friend's father.
Okay.
Who we ended up becoming best friends later on in life. But his father presented me, and I went and I read the horse. As you know, you read the horse, and sometimes people say, "A'id," like repeat it.
Right.
I didn't know what that meant. So I went, I read the horse, everyone's saying "A'id," and I'm just staring at them. I walked down, it was only literally one horse, it didn't take no more than 2 minutes. I walked down, everyone's telling me, I told you A'id. I was like, I don't know what you're saying, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're talking about. And then after that, my mum, she was very happy, of course, that she saw me from my own initiative. I started reading. So then she started training me and teaching me Arabic and making sure I do as much as possible in terms of mawalid. I've done a bit of latmiyat here and there.
Mashallah.
Around that age, from like 8 to around 10, 11, and then from the age from 11 to 14, I was also doing mawalid here and there, but I was also doing tashabih ma'al al-Qasim.
Nice.
You know, doing the acting part of being
I think you've got the world record for how many years in a row?
3 years in a row. 3 years in a row. We've applied every hadith with every possibility of the age of Al-Qasim, salamullah alayhi, I've done it. Until by the last year my voice started cracking, they were like, get him down, get him down.
Too old now. Qasim didn't have a beard. Yeah, there you go.
That's enough, get him down.
Zain, okay, so actually, interestingly, you know, that age in Australia, and then I guess you go into like your pre-adolescence, you go into your teenage years, 13, 14, and you're still part of this world where you'd read the odd kind of mawalid or latmiya. You know, you'd be the person who dresses up as Al-Qasim every year as well. But at the same time, from what I know anyway, and maybe you can tell us different, but also in Sydney, Australia, there is a world there of, especially the Arab community, from what I've heard, that actually pulls you into a completely different direction. Were you aware of that at that age? Was that...
When I was at that age, obviously, just to clarify, we got to Australia around 2006-07.
Right.
After 2 years, for certain reasons, my father had to go back to Iraq.
Okay.
So it was just.
So actually, it was just you and mum, basically.
It was just me and my mum, and I'm at the age of 7 when my father had to go back.
Right. Very impressionable age.
Yeah. Dangerous age.
Yeah.
Dangerous age, and especially with everything going on in these Western societies, everyone knows who lives there, like the type of dangers that you can face around you. My mother, what she done, she wouldn't teach me, as we would say, but she would throw me into the right environment.
Right.
So she would make sure that every week I'm going to the Husayniyah.
Smart.
She tried to give me roles. She would always remind me that I'm for a bigger purpose. She would always remind me that Ani nadartak khadim. You're better than this, you're better than whatever these people are trying to teach you at school, or whatever this culture is trying to tell you. And she would put me in the Husayniyah and she would say,
because literally that is mum pulling one way, but culture. I mean, is it right? Because from what I've heard, like things like crime and like that rude boy life culture and drugs is a big thing.
Especially in the area that I grew up, like Sydney. I'm pretty sure it's like London. You have the areas that are the nice areas, the areas that. But then you have certain areas that are pretty dangerous, which is the area that I grew up and the people in Australia would know. It's called Bankstown within Sydney.
Okay.
Bankstown is known as. Yeah. Bankstown is known as.
That's quite good.
No, we don't call it that.
Okay, thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Bankstown, or they call it by the postcode 2200.
2200.
Yeah. So they just chucked us there when we first got to Australia. Just threw us in that area. That area was pretty dangerous. Like you had literally 2 streets away there would be kidnapping, and there would be drive-by shooting, and it really became a normal thing for us. Obviously. So
you knew people that were involved in this?
Yeah, I grew up.
Did you have any friends that were there?
Yeah. Like I'm in high school with a lot of the people that are part of these dangerous families and doing all these sorts of crimes, and I was actually friends with them to a degree. And, And
those were your acquaintances, right?
Exactly. I grew up in that life, and it could have been worse. Like, I could have been part of that. I could have been part of that crime. I could have been part of that, the selling and buying and all of these types of stuff. But I really think being in a Husainiyya, that really saved me. My mum making sure that I'm in that environment of khidmah of Ahlulbayt alayhim wassalam.
Yeah.
Just being there.
I think what your mum done that is phenomenal. And if there's any, I've lived in London for the majority of my adult life, and we do a Thursday program about already, and we come across a lot of people in the community. And I think the reality of it is, whether we like it or not, is that a lot of the time the boys in our community, and sometimes the girls as well, the ones who are coming into like in Iraq we say Amr al-Murahaqa, so like the 12, 13, 14, past puberty and going into teenage years, they're in a dangerous situation.
Very.
And I think what your mum done that is phenomenal, is that she tried to fill your time, because the majority of issues that I think arise probably happen from idle time.
Exactly.
Right? And she's kind of plucked you out of a situation where you can be up to no good.
Exactly.
And then put you in a situation where actually it's very hard not to be good in a Husainiyya, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. And also what my mum would do, and this is because my mum, she up until today she doesn't speak English, so she couldn't really like teach me, would like tutor me when it comes to my studies, and I had to learn everything when it came to my studies.
Yes.
And she didn't really know what was going on, so I could have perfectly went and done a lot of bad things without her knowing.
So Ben Kalamek, sorry to interrupt, I was in a similar situation. My dad worked abroad from the age of like 13, 14, and it was very easy for me at any stage to tell my mum, yep, I'm on the way to the Husainiyya, and I could be anywhere in the UK.
Exactly.
She would have no idea. So what stopped you from being the guy? Because I knew guys like that growing up, I'm sure you did as well, that would say, right, I'm with Sayyid Radha right now, but actually he wasn't. Right?
Yeah.
What stopped you from being that guy?
Many things. Of them are the fact that my mum placed her trust on me. I feel like that's something that with parents, when you treat your children with a complete lack of trust, you just rob them of all trust, that you're always monitoring them, you're very strict with them, one way or another they are going to find a way to go against you.
Right.
But whereas when you give them, look, you can't protect them, you can't block them from everything that's happening around the world. Like realistically, you're not gonna not give your child a phone, because he will reach a certain age where he can work and he'll get himself a phone.
Right.
He'll be exposed to this one way or another. The best thing you can do is showing him what that is, showing him the reality of it, where it will end you, where it will lead you, and having trust in him, giving him that responsibility. Especially at that age, if you continue treating him like a child, he will start acting like a child. He'll continue acting like a child. But I think with my mother, she ensured that I'm acting more responsible, and she told me that you're a man now, you're not a child, your father's not here, so you need to man up, and I'm going to trust you. You're a khadim of that. And she would always remind me, she would remind me, she would kind of manifest it within me. She would always tell me, Inta Sayyid, Inta Machhad. You would never lie.
Very nice.
Even though, like when I was younger, I may have done the odd lie here and there.
Prophecy.
Yeah, she would always tell me that Inta Sayyid, Inta Machhad, Inta your grandfather's Rasulullah. You're never going to lie. And you won't do these things. So one aspect was making sure that I earn my mum's trust, that I don't let her down, especially with what she's been through. Another aspect was that, like I said, I always felt like I was meant more than just this. Yeah. And I would see my friends, what they started doing, they started taking the route of, buying or selling drugs, if it was, or if it was going to parties or meeting up with women or whatever it was. And I would always remember the times that I would go Husainiyya, and I'd be like, this isn't me, man. Like, I'm not meant for this. I'm not supposed to do this. And especially the area that you grow up, you see that lifestyle as it is. Nowadays, when they see this lifestyle online, it looks beautiful. Yeah. It's very romantic, that lifestyle. But when you've actually grew up in those areas, you know how it actually is. These people that, they buy and sell and they have money, they have a very nice car and everything, but I hear them every morning when the SWAT come in and raid their house. And and his mum.
You saw the realistic side of it rather than just the one that's, as you say, romantic.
Exactly, and his mum's there screaming, and his children are there running around screaming because the SWAT are taking him to prison. You know, I see it as it really is. And I see that path and where it eventually takes you. It's funny how they romanticize it, like when they see the movies like Scarface or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It never has a good ending. Like, do you not see the ending of it?
They're always caught in the end or dead, basically.
My brother died. He was either in jail or he either dead or and his family are falling apart. I don't understand romanticizing that life, the point out of it. And I always remembered that there's no good out of that lifestyle. And the best thing that I can do is hold on to my Husayniyah, hold on to the path of Ahlulbayt, because they are eternal.
Yeah.
And I had this complex when I was younger, when I first started up. I had a fear, actually, a phobia of being forgotten.
That's interesting. Where do you think that stems from?
Look, I don't know what it is, but sometimes I think about it like, let's say I take the path of, you know, all this haram. Okay, I'm going to make a bit of money. Okay, I'm going to have, you know, a nice car, you know, whatever the lifestyle comes with. But after I'm dead, what will people remember me as?
What's the legacy?
What's the legacy I'm going to leave behind? You know, maybe after 50 years...
When did you start thinking about that?
To be honest, I started thinking about that when I was around the age of 12.
Well, that's really young to think about that.
I was.
Why do you reckon you thought about that at all? Because listen, my son.
Yeah.
My son is nearly 12.
Yeah.
And he's thinking mainly about who he's going to get as a left back for his FIFA football team right now. He's not thinking about, you know, maybe like what am I having for lunch, or like, how can I convince my dad to give me this money for this PlayStation store or something like that. He's not thinking about legacy ever.
The reason why these types of thoughts came up with me is sometimes the environment that you're in forces you to mature at an age that you're not supposed to mature in. So the way that I lived without my father and my mother not knowing the English language, she didn't know how to, you know, go and apply for something or her license. She wasn't driving until I started driving. So I was taking the bus and the train everywhere where I was going. And
that's a young age to do that.
Yeah, well. She wouldn't know anything, so I would be basically taking care of the house with her. And I felt like sometimes when life puts you in these tough situations, you tend to be more mature at a younger age.
Yeah.
So sometimes I thought about it. I'm like, these people after 50 years, they forget who they are. And sometimes when I would go Najaf to see my dad, I would tell the taxi man to take me to the Imam, but through Mukhtasar al-Haydari, through the graveyard of Wadi Salam, and I would just look at the graves, and sometimes I'd tell him, stop, let me have a walk. I'd see people my age. I would see people older, younger. Sometimes, and I asked him once, the taxi that was with me, I like to sit down with taxis and ask them their life, you know?
Yeah, they see so many people.
The experience they have.
Literally,
amazing.
We can't underrate the value of having a conversation with a taxi man, no doubt.
So he told me, I was like, this street, was it always like that? The street that's in the middle of the graveyard? Yeah, he was like, no, these were all graves. Yeah, these were all graves and they destroyed it. And that's where the phobia kicked in. I'm like, so I'm going to get buried, and I don't know, maybe at some point in time they're going to destroy my
pathway, literally.
So I'm not going to be remembered at all. There's not going to be any physical evidence of me ever
I don't think you're not remembered for the physical grave, are you? I think, you know, your point is being remembered for what you do, basically.
Exactly. So I was like, my legacy has to be with something that's eternal.
I mean, I started thinking about that like 28, man.
Yeah. Now look, it's a blessing and a curse to be thinking like that at a young age.
Yeah.
And a lot of sleepless nights. Where you're just overthinking.
It's not easy.
At that young age, I'm thinking to myself about death and about how can I make sure that I connect myself with something that is eternal, where I'm remembered. Yeah. And I found no other answer than Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I found no other answer, because then I started looking at characters that have been eternalized in history. Yeah. Sheikh Abd al-Zahra al-Ka'bi. Yeah. Sayyid Muhammad al-Shirazi.
Yeah. But it's literally because of what they've done for
exactly.
Imam Hussein.
The ashab of Imam al-Hussein.
Or even someone you look at like ashab al-Imma, like you look at someone like Bahlul.
Yeah.
He's eternalized, literally. Like.
Exactly. So and admittedly that thought was wrong, like, because it's a bit of a arrogance thing that, oh, I want to be remembered, I don't want to be forgotten, but it led me to a good cause.
Yeah, I think it was a means to an end, right? And if the end is you being able to put in your mind that I want to do something for the Ahlulbayt, then it's always the right answer.
So that's when I reached the age of around 14, where we got a hay'ah together, me and the friends of mine.
So hay'ah, for the brothers and sisters that don't speak Arabic or not Iraqi,
organization, like a little organization within our Husseiniya, within our center, for the youth.
Right.
And they were like, okay.
What was the hay'ah called?
Hay'at Sayyida Ruqayya, Sayyida Ruqayya Foundation.
Still open now?
Yeah, still open, but not as active.
Of course.
Yeah, but we started and we were like, we need to do regular programs, you know. What can we do? What can we provide? Some of the shabab said, I can do the camera work. One of the shabab said that I can do the cooking, for example, helping out. Organizing everything. I put my name down as a lecturer.
Nice.
You know, like, Sayyid, like, before that I used to give little speeches.
Okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a whole thing. But they were like, Sayyid, is this the path you want to take? And by the way, when we started that, I had my very last latmiyah that I ever read, and that was Istishhad Sayyida Ruqayya. That's why the Sayyida Ruqayya Foundation. So that day where I decided to become a lecturer forever.
What was the latmiyah?
For Istishhad Sayyida Ruqayya.
What was the latmiyah? Do you remember?
I cannot tell you. It's been 7 years. I cannot remember. But it was one for Mullah Basim.
Okay.
I think it's called Hada Buya Al-Ghali.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a classic one of his, and I just read it. And that was the last time I ever read a qasida for Sayyida Ruqayya, and I started off.
Apart from today, you're going to read us a little bit.
Oh no, don't do that to me, man. Don't do that to me, man. I have a terrible voice. That's why I switched.
It doesn't sound like you do, by the way.
No.
It sounds like there's like a melodious tune behind it.
No melodious. Leave that to Mullah Ali Father.
There you go. Okay,
yeah. He's amazing. We'll leave that to him. Don't put me on the spot.
Fair enough. Yeah, so you started lecturing. With that, you had to then move into like the acquiring of knowledge as well, right?
Yeah. So before that, when I started learning, I was around the age of maybe like 12.
Right.
So what started happening? So before that, I told you how my mum would throw me into the Husseiniya.
Yep.
And she was like, just do whatever, just do something. Most of the time, I was playing with the kids. You know, we were playing, football. We were, like, on the like those DS, DSIs and whatever.
Little games and whatever.
Yeah, the games. I never had one, but I would always
end up borrowing your friends.
Yeah. I would always enjoy watching my friends.
Yeah.
So I would always play, and one of the people who I owe a lot to, Abu Rayhana, the one who runs the center that I would read at, he used to hate me because of, we would always talk and we would always make a mess and everything. But it just happened one day. It just clicked. I was like, you know what? I want to listen to the lecture.
Okay.
Just nothing, unprovoked, and from no reason at all. My friends were like, come on, let's play. I was like, no, bro, I want to listen to the lecture.
Interesting.
I sat down and I heard the lecture. I loved it. And then after that, I developed a habit. Anyone who I would see wearing a turban, I would sit down and ask him questions. Anything. I didn't even care. Like, I wasn't even embarrassed. Like, any question I had in my mind, I would ask him. I remember once I went to a sheikh and I asked him, Sheikhna, who's God? Just like that, like, who's God? And he started explaining me who God was. I was like, and I asked him a funny question. I was like, can I joke with God? Like, can I treat him like my friend? Like, joke around with him? Have a laugh with God? So I just kept on asking questions, and then I started, listening to lectures online as well.
Right.
In terms of English lecturers, I would listen to Sayyid Mehdi Mudarrisi.
Right.
Sayyid Aman Naqshawani.
Right.
Also, before, when I was first listening, Haj Hassanin.
Rajab Ali, yeah.
Yeah. So
it's interesting. So you were on the opposite side of the world to me, and those three had a massive influence on my childhood and most people in London as well, actually.
Yeah, so did they with me. Like, I was listening to them very frequently, and I was also listening to Arabic lecturers, but more so I started off with English.
Okay.
But bear in mind, during that period of time, it was also religiously dangerous, because I wasn't only listening to them, I was listening to Sunni lecturers.
Okay.
So I've been through phases where I was literally borderline the other side, because they had such nice programs and nice lectures, and they were ahead of us in that sense.
And you're also like a bit of a blank canvas, open and willing to just soak up as much as you know.
I didn't know anything. And I would listen to their lectures, and I would listen to how they would talk about the Sahaba and everything, and that was me for a while. For a strong part of my life. Then I started listening to the English lecturers,
right? Like
Sayyid Mahdi, Sayyid Ammar, and then obviously after that, asking questions with whichever Mu'ammam I would sit down with,
right?
That would clarify more.
I think it's when you start to ask the questions you really get that clarity.
And I think that was probably the best thing that I done. And anyone out there who's a youth, the age of 12, 15, even 22, whatever age you're in,
right?
You will never know until you ask. So why would you prevent yourself from gaining this knowledge when you don't want to ask? Don't be embarrassed with asking. Like, I would ask questions in front of people to the sheikh, and some people would start laughing.
Yeah.
And the sheikh would tell them, like, don't laugh. Like, it's good that he's asking a question. Right now he doesn't know, but eventually he's gonna know when you don't know because you were too embarrassed to ask the question. So I feel like that's a very important thing that the youth can hold on to. That
Absolutely.
You don't know something, ask, learn.
Absolutely.
Don't live in oblivion. Don't live in darkness where you don't know the answer, or you hear a misconception. Especially in today's time, there's a lot of misconceptions.
Yeah, I mean, little thing, but like this. The channels of communication that we have, Instagram Reels and TikTok and WhatsApp and Facebook and whatever, things are taken so out of context. The other day I heard a clip about something to do with Imam Hussein and the Sha'ar of Imam Hussein. They've taken a clip from Sheikh Al-Wali, Allah Yarahmah Ahmad Al-Wali, and they completely taken the context of what he said away and used it to their benefit to try to prove a point, because the pictures they put match up with something.
Do you want to laugh?
Yes.
One thing, I done a program with Imam Hussein TV in Karbala.
Right.
It was about Sayyidah Zahra. I was talking about the book of Fatima.
Yes.
Yeah. And in the lecture I said, the other people, they say that we think the book of Fatima is our second Quran.
Right.
And I started explaining their point of view, that they say that the book of Fatima is the second Quran.
And they just took away the other.
They clipped it, and they were like, look at what he's saying. The Shia saying the book. So you're completely right. People take these things out of context, and the victim is the youth. They listen to this, and that's how they view it.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, learn, gain knowledge, ask, until there's no doubt in your mind.
And that also then led you to wanting to do kind of like Hausa studies as well, right?
Yes.
So we'll come on to that. Just one thing I'm wondering, and I see in the UK right now, I don't know what it's like in Australia, I don't see many youth lecturers. I see people who dabble for a little bit and then leave. And so what's your kind of like, if there's anyone out there who's listening who's 13, 14, 15, who likes to read, likes to listen to lectures, wants to impart some of the knowledge they have, and looks at this and says, you know what, I want to provide this khidmah. Because that khidmah ultimately is also very important, Sayyid, huh? Because we can have a million people brushing and cooking and cleaning, but if there's no lecturers, then it's a dangerous game as well, right?
Very important at that point that you mentioned. The first piece of advice I would give to someone like that who wants to start off, just start. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink it. Don't think you need to have a full library of knowledge. Sit there and start with what you know. My first lecture was about goodness to the parents. I knew a couple of stories here and there. I know a verse or two, and I spoke. Everyone overcomplicates it, and I know so many people, like, I sit down with them, they have knowledge, mashallah. They're good, they're well spoken.
Yeah.
I tell them, why don't you start? They're like, oh, Sayyid, but how? But I need this and I need that. I started at 14 years old. I didn't.
What was the trigger that made you start, like the push?
We had a meeting for the foundation, Sayyidah Ruqayya.
Yeah.
They're like, we need a lecturer. Without second thought, I was like, yep.
Okay.
That was it. Didn't overcomplicate it. Didn't turn it to be a story, because the moment you overcomplicate it in your mind, it will be so much harder to do.
Did you like look at anyone or speak to anyone of the kind of like the elders, any other lecturers that influenced you?
Before that, someone who told me to be a lecturer is none other than Sayyid Mahdi Mudarrisi.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically the story was they were at a Fatiha in the Husainiyya. They done a Fatiha for a family member of theirs that passed away at the time, and Sayyid Mahdi Mudarrisi was there. I was a big fan, of course, because you know I was listening to him very often and very frequently.
Right.
So I sat down with Sayyid Mahdi like I do with any other Muhammad and ask, and I would continue asking. And Khatiyah, he was reading Quran as well. It was in a Fatiha. I did not care, brother. I was like, no Fatiha, no nothing. You're answering my questions.
That's it.
So I sat there and I was asking, and very happily the Sayyid obliged. He was answering me, and very humbly, I must say. And then he looked at me. He was like, I need you to be a lecturer.
Wow.
I was like, Sayyid, I'm only young. He was like, so? I was like, I need you to be a lecturer. He was like, we don't have many lecturers. We have a shortage of lecturers. You ask all these questions, you're interested in these type of things, become a lecturer.
Lovely.
So I always had that in the back of my mind.
Right.
Literally no more than 2-3 months later, I became a lecturer. So Sayyid Mahdi, I really
That's
owe
a
it
big
to
thing.
him.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that, you know, one of the things we have to always consider as adults now is that when you have someone who's younger than you and it shows an interest in a topic or a subject like that, we should be pushing them towards it, not saying, you know what, being a lecturer is very difficult, there's a lot to learn. I'm sure we'll talk about some of the challenges you have as being a lecturer now. Because it's not easy, huh?
Of course, yeah, especially
but
with
the fact
youth.
that he pushed you into it, I think is
He pushed me into it, and after that, of course, I didn't have much contact with Sayyid Mahdi after that. The ones who really helped me throughout that period were his brothers.
Okay.
Sayyid Hussein Mudarrisi and Sayyid Mustafa Mudarrisi.
Okay.
These people throughout that beginning stages were really helping me, especially at a time where very rarely was anyone encouraging me. Like, you're 14, 15 years old, you're trying to do something good, that's the khidmah. I had people telling Abu Rayhana, the person that runs our Husainiyya, why are you making him do lectures? He shouldn't be lecturing. Many people indirectly, like through other people, like spreading rumors that this kid hasn't studied anything, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's going to be a bad influence for the youth.
Right.
And I was at a time where, man, like I was hating my life. I was like, really? Is this what someone does when he wants to do khidmah? Like, where's the support for me? Like I would have expected people like saying, good on you, keep going, accent, everything.
Especially at that age, it's so important that you get the right support, right?
And I got that support from the lecturers.
Yeah.
It's crazy how people who've never been a lecturer in their life try to give you advice on being a lecturer. But my lecturers, the people that I revere and respect that are dominant in that field, were doing nothing but encouragement.
Right.
So with the youth, it is very important that we treat them as adults. Because you continue treating them like children, that's how they will act.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
100%.
how they will continue acting like that. And subhanAllah, literally the other day I was with Sayyid Hussein Mudarrisi, who's my mentor, and we were at a majlis, and a 12-year-old comes and sits between us. I'm there in my clothes of lecturing, as Sayyid Hussein is obviously in his imam and everything. So he sits between us and he starts speaking to Sayyid Hussein and me.
Right.
He was exactly how I was when I was 12. Sayyid Hussein looks at me, I look at Sayyid Hussein. Sayyid Hussein was like, remind you of anyone?
No way.
I was like,
SubhanAllah.
Sayyid Hussein was like, this was you exactly. You would sit there, ask questions. I looked at that kid, I was like, listen to me, kid.
I need you to
be a lecturer. I was like, I got a plan.
Pass it down, that's it.
I was like, listen to me, kid, you gotta be a lecturer. He was like, I want to be a pilot. I was like, all right, whatever, be a pilot.
On the side, also be a lecturer.
Be a lecturer. You gotta be a lecturer. And I feel like encourage our youth.
Yeah.
Our youth have to be encouraged to do khidmah, because the problem is you have a lot of people we grew up with, and I'm sure you've seen this as well. They were khuddam.
Yes.
But they came and they went.
100%.
Because they weren't respected. They weren't
100%.
given responsibilities.
They weren't empowered.
They weren't empowered. So they just left. Like they never even
Yeah.
existed.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Yeah.
that's very bad. You know, you got the khidmah of Imam al-Hussein. This Husainiyya is not yours.
Yeah.
This khidmah is not specific to you.
Yeah.
The more you include people, the more thawab it is for them and for you.
Yes.
You know, what Sayyid Mahdi, all he had to do was sit down with me for 15 minutes, answer a couple of my questions. He threw a word out there and he said, be a lecturer. and the rest was history.
And that's what happened, yeah.
That's all it took, you know. And all it takes from us is a word of encouragement. People really underestimate how much encouragement gets people through in life.
100%.
Appreciation, like sometimes a lecturer or a khadim just sitting there and telling him, hey bro, I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
Thank you for this khidmah.
Yeah,
you're doing amazing.
We definitely take for granted.
It means so much to them and it keeps them going.
Then Sayyidina, you got into this lecturing, and then so you've been lecturing for the last 7-8 years now.
Yeah.
And obviously a big part of the lecturing is then developing yourself and learning and acquiring knowledge, which I think people also take for granted. Yeah, and every lecturer that I know invests daily hours into researching and learning, and you know, whether it's Hausa, whether they've been to Hausa, whether they're studying Hausa online. I mean, it's probably been a big part of your life for the last 7 years as well, yeah? Tell us a little bit about that.
100%. So I first started my Hausa journey in Najaf. So when I would go, my dad lives in Najaf currently.
Yeah.
When I would go visit him, I would take like 3-4 months off.
Okay.
I would go visit him and I would go study Hausa there.
Nice.
So I would study Hausa there. But then after that, it became an online thing where I would study. And other than the online studies of Hausa, I have my mentors.
Right. So they do some teaching. And
Yeah. Like you got, you know, of course, Sayyid Hussein Mudarrisi, Sayyid Mustafa Mudarrisi, Sayyid Fadil al-Sayyid.
Yeah.
Very big mentor of mine. Sayyid Hassan Mudarrisi.
Yeah.
These people really helped me become who I am.
Yeah.
Really appreciate their service that they provide in terms of mentoring. And I would go to Sayyid Fadil when I'm feeling down, when I feel like sometimes, because you know, with any form of khidmah, you have that. Sometimes you just feel like you don't want to do anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets to a point, the pressure, everything. You're like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm done. And it happened to me many times. And one of the times, I called Sayyid Mustafa Mudarrisi. I'm like, Sayyidna, I know you're in Hajj, but just make dua for me because I'm done. I'm not doing these lectures anymore, and I'm over it.
Really?
He calls me. He's in the middle of Hajj. I can hear the labbaik Allahumma labbaik.
Wow.
Khatiyya, the Sayyid left the Hajj, left the A'mal, and he called me. He was like, why? Why do you want to let go? Why do you want to stop? Why? And I even still have some of the messages he sent me afterwards. He was like, don't stop. This path will always be battled. Iblis will always try to get you off of this. And you know, we had a very long conversation where Sayyid Mustafa, well and truly, he saved me from that. And the second instance that it happened, Sayyid Fadil.
Yeah. Sayyid Fadil Sayyid, tell us a bit about him, because the people that know you and your mutual friends said this Sayyid was a very big influence.
Yes.
On your life as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Sayyid Fadil, well and truly, he's a father figure to me and a mentor. I met him a bit later, but the impact that he's had in the very short amount of years, even though they're probably 5 years now I've known him, but compared to the rest of the span, he's been a massive impact. Like last year I read in his center where he is, you know, his son also is a very good friend of mine. He's been very supportive. He's been very, very supportive, very kind, generous man that, you know, everyone loves. Like, inshallah, you get the opportunity to meet him.
Yeah, I'd love to. Man. I'd definitely need to come to Australia.
Yeah, everyone loves Sayyid Fadil. Like Sayyid Fadil for a period of time, like most of the mudarrisis will stay at his house, even Sayyid Hadi, you know, and he's a very beloved person, and I owe a lot to Sayyid Fadil, honestly.
Yeah.
And that was the second instance when I wanted to quit lecturing. So it goes to show that having a mentor, if you want to do lecturing, if anyone out there wants to do lecturing, having a mentor that can kind of guide you, someone who's been there, done that. And that's why every time I sit down with a mentor of mine, I ask him about experiences that I'm going through that they've already went through.
So, do you think that you were fortunate in the position you were? I mean, I know the answer is going to be yes, but I mean, do you feel like the difference is that the position you were fortunate? You were able to create these bonds, have this opportunity, you know, maybe because you're a bit plucky and courageous as a kid, and you were able to go and do that straight away. But the average kid, you know, who's 14, can he realistically go to Sayyid Mehdi now, Sayyid Amran now, anyone else now, and say, look, you know, I want you to be my, I mean, maybe it doesn't work like that, but how do people do that? Because maybe there's someone listening now who says, you know what, this sounds great on paper, and it probably, you know, it probably will. Sorry, we're just on a roundabout, I don't want to die. So you know, probably there's no doubt these people could help me and I can learn from them.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna, in today's world, of the amount that they travel, I mean, what do you just take whoever's in your local center? Do you go out and seek them? Do you message them? Do you ask them? What's the realistic takeaway for these?
So in terms of mentors, a lot of the lecturers that I know, and this is on a personal level, you can access their number.
Right.
You can text them and you can ask them questions, and they're more than happy to answer. They're more than happy to help. It's their pleasure. And
right.
I know this with someone like me, it's my pleasure to help someone, especially if someone says that, I want to learn from you and whatnot. But I mean, even if I didn't have access to them, there would be times where I wouldn't have access to Sayyid Mehdi Mudarrisi. He's a very busy man at the end of the day.
Of course.
I wouldn't let that bother me. I wouldn't become frustrated with that. And I would just be like, you know what? His videos are out there. Let me learn. Let me listen to his lectures. That's where I can gain knowledge. And that's what I understand. Yeah, the London traffic's amazing.
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
I had to focus away from you for a second. I was going to get hit. Yeah. So I think the point is that it's a combination of you believing in the fact that you can work on it yourself. You can learn, and you can learn Hausa, and you need to trust acquire yourself. Knowledge. But at the same time, there are people out there that are willing to guide you and help you as
They're more than willing, and at the same time, you have to understand you're going to get to a certain point in your journey where it's going to be you. It's going to be you. You're going to go. You're going to start reading. You're going to start extracting information, reading a hadith. I don't encourage the lecturers to prepare their lecture thoroughly to the point where they have it like a script.
Right.
I always say no, not at all. Not at all. That's probably the worst thing that I done for a period of time was script it.
Right.
What I would do, I would have pointers in my mind, and then I would leave room for improvisation.
Yeah. But I mean, to do that, you have to understand the points.
Of course,
detail,
You understand the points. Don't go sit out there and give wrong information on the basis of no. Have the right information. Have the right. So basically, what I would do in my lectures, when you see me, I would have a little piece of paper, or I would have like an iPad or something. These would only have the hadith, because I don't want to say the hadith wrong, because the kalam of Al-Muhammad, I don't want even the harakah to be wrong. Yes. I want to make sure as much as I can for it to be right. But other than that, the point is leave room for improvisation. Why? Because your audience is always going to be different. And when you want to engage with your audience, you cannot have it prepared what you're going to say.
Right.
You have to leave room for improvisation. For example, have a little joke in there, have a little interaction with them, to make sure they're engaged. Me with my lectures, I go up for half an hour most of the time, and for half an hour it's draining. Many people don't know this, that some lecturers like Sayyid Ammar or Sayyid Mehdi, they'll go there for an hour and give a lecture. It's draining. Me, I go for half an hour and I'm drained, because for half an hour I'm not only speaking, I'm trying to engage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sometimes, especially if I'm giving a lecture to like a younger audience, I'm jumping around like, hey, come listen to me, focus with me.
Yeah.
So I try every way possible. So leave room for improvisation so you could engage with your audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I learned this. Oh, sorry about that.
No.
So I learned a lot of this not just from my English religious lecturers. I took some classes in public speaking.
Oh, awesome.
I would listen to some people. There are a lot of people out there that teach you public speaking, that you learn tips and tricks from them. Your tone of voice,
absolutely,
raising it, lowering it, when you should be angry, when you should be happy, when you should joke, all of this. It's an art form.
Absolutely.
That's why you have a lot of scholars, like scholars, but they're not good lecturers.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's an art form. It's not about the knowledge.
And then you also have great lecturers who probably aren't scholars, and that is also a dangerous world. So I think alhamdulillah, always you're able to do the great thing, which is keep everyone engaged, but at the same time keep developing your knowledge as well, Sayyid, which I think is massive. And
it's a responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a responsibility. You have this knowledge, because it's scary, and that's what prevents a lot of people from doing lectures. Actually, they'll be like, what if I say something wrong on the minbar?
Yeah.
I always tell them, look, you make sure you do your due diligence.
Right.
You've studied properly.
Right.
Your information isn't incorrect. And go do the lecture. If it turns out your information was incorrect, the very next lecture, you get up, and you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, before I want to start, I just want to say that such a thing that I said the other day was a mistake. I've done this many times starting up, and I remember once, literally last year, I made a mistake. It was a private majlis, thankfully, it wasn't a live stream, and I made a mistake. I mixed one of the companions of Imam Sadiq, Abu Basir and Zurara.
Right.
I mixed between the two names, and then after I noticed who reminded me, my friend. Alhamdulillah, I've been blessed to have friends that are also knowledgeable, you know. And he was like, Sayyid, you made a mistake. It wasn't Zurara, it was Abu Basir. I went and I called every single person that was in that audience, because it was a small gathering, it was a private majlis, and I was like, Salamun alaikum, I just want to say I made a mistake.
Wow. They must have had so much respect for you as well. So
I called them. I was like, look, I apologize, I made a mistake. It wasn't Zurara, it was Abu Basir. And then out of my fear, I done 100 salawat and I gave it as thawab to Abu Basir just in case he wants to grab me on the day of judgment. Like, hey, that's the guy right there, bring him in.
Yeah, so I mean, part of it is Islamic knowledge. I think part of it as well, as you said, is like public speaking and other types of topics as well. So I mean, like, you know, you're doing a psychology degree as well now, right?
Yes, I'm studying psychology at Macquarie University.
Okay.
Yeah, it's...
And was that related at all to your choice of wanting to go down the public speaking and lecturing for the Ahlulbayt route as well? Do you think that's something that motivated your choice?
To a degree, psychology really fascinated me, and at the same time I went in it thinking that the only reason I'm doing this is because it's going to elevate my lecturing.
Okay.
Like, I went there with the mindset that I'm only doing this because my lectures are going to be better. I will be providing insight that many people won't access from a psychological perspective, and I think that's an important thing where many people don't look at and analyze. The psychological aspect of religion is crucial.
Absolutely.
I believe, and you learn a lot of things. I mean, initially when I first started psychology, it was a shock because it wasn't what I thought it was. A lot of it was math oriented.
You were saying earlier, there's a lot of stats there.
It's just like the coding, you know, the stats, the programming and everything. A lot of maths in psychology, which I didn't expect. But once you understand why they do it, it becomes more evident, you know.
Yeah,
but it's an enjoyable study, but it's a long study. It's a bachelor's 4 years, and then a master's 2 years, and then work placement 2 years until you become a certified psychologist.
Yeah, but I mean, I think even then, you know, you've opened up a whole new avenue for your professional life, but also in terms of the khidmat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam.
It's a fresh perspective.
Absolutely.
It's a fresh perspective, but if you've noticed in my lectures, I still don't mention it because I feel like let me be completely down packed with it for me to be linking it to
that's a step as well. And what's next for Sayyid Rada? What's the plan?
Wallahi,
you're still young and brown and bushy-tailed, fresh-eyed.
Yeah. For now, my plan, inshallah, is to finish my studies, to continue serving as long as I live and breathe, to continue serving, and always try to improve on my service, because what many people don't understand, it may be like I want to be a bit honest.
Please.
With lecturing, I don't know about other lecturers, my peers, but with me, when I see another lecturer, I always have that competition in the back of my mind.
Really?
Yes. I don't know if it's just me, but I look at sometimes mentors, you know, people that I really respect, Sayyid Ammar Akhshawani, Sayyid Mehdi Mudarrisi, even the other lecturers out there, I'm like, I need to be better than them. And it drives me, it pushes me to become better. And you know,
that's interesting.
Sometimes, you know, people will tell me, like, you know, you can't really say that, you can't really. I'm like, no, it's in a good way. Like, you know, I'm not hating on any of them. Like I'm actually intimidated. It's out of respect. It's not a hasad. It's a ghibta. You know, it's a ghibta that well and truly.
It's more that you're inspired by it.
I'm inspired more than you would think from these people. So I want to be like them.
Yeah.
And I want to be even better. And I feel like that type of competitive mindset pushed me and he continues to push me, because every time I see, like, you know, Sayyid Ahmad's doing a new project, Sayyid Mehdi's doing a new project, Sheikh Azhar Nasser's doing a new project,
Yeah.
Sayyid Fadl's doing a new project, Sayyid Abdullah Naqib as well, which is someone who influenced me for a period of my life, because he started lecturing in Sydney as well. When I see them doing new projects, I'm like, I have to do something.
Yeah.
I have to also provide a
Yeah.
because, you know, what if they continue doing what they're doing and I'm doing nothing? I won't be a lecturer anymore. So it inspires me. But at the same time, there's that competitive edge.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're the first lecturer I've ever heard say that. But I get it. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think
many people misunderstand that, by the way. They'll be like, oh, that's not really a religious thing. I'm like, man, no. I'm well and truly like, it's because I love them and I respect them. I'm having that competitiveness with them that you know. Sometimes it gets bad, admittedly, like sometimes, because I'm a very competitive person, like sometimes it gets bad.
You haven't tried to sabotage?
No, not yet. Not yet.
No.
To make sure he doesn't have any audiences anymore. No one listens to him, only to me.
Yeah, there you go. And you're also in the age of marriage as well, so we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, to give you
you have no idea, man, how much the mudarris is every time I sit down with them. You're not married yet?
Say you have to get married.
You're not married yet?
22 years old.
Yeah, you reckon?
No, it's not really, but I mean, it depends what age
Nah,
you
look, it's crazy because I'm in terms of marriage, I don't have an excuse that, oh, I'm not getting married for this reason or something. No. Like, me saying that I don't want to get married because I don't have enough money or something like that, that's an invalid reason.
No, yeah.
I'm always open to marriage, just looking for the right opportunity.
Allah.
And inshallah, barakat du'akum.
Brothers and sisters, you heard it here first, behind the wheel. Said, brother, make dua for him to get married, inshallah. Ya Allah.
Allahumma ameen.
Allah. I can't think of it, like, what are you doing? Like, I mean, Allah.
It's a conflicting.
There you go.
Yeah,
Said, we're back at the channel. So, first of all, I've loved our convo, bro. I really enjoyed it.
It's been a pleasure, man.
And
you've been amazing.
We need to chill on a non-carpool level as well. Inshallah, if you're ever in London again, or I'm ever in Sydney.
Appreciate it, man.
We also have some quick-fire questions.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so, don't do that.
No, it's okay. Yes, that's fine. Don't worry about it. So these are just 10 quick-fire questions that all of our guests have.
Okay.
Some are serious, some are a bit funnier. Some need a bit of thought, to be fair.
Okay.
So yeah, as soon as we park up now, we'll go through those, yeah?
Okay.
Sayyidina, thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate
As mentioned, it's been lovely to have you. We're at the quickfire segment of Behind the Wheel.
Bismillah.
So yeah, all I ask of you is to quick responses.
Yes.
And just be honest. That's it.
Inshallah.
And you can't skip a question, by the way.
Not even one?
No skipping it out. You have to give an answer. First question is, what is your favorite hadith and why?
My favorite hadith?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a difficult one, you know. It's not a hadith, but I think my favorite, it's a hadith, but my favorite piece of information from the Ahlulbayt is khutbat al-fadakiyya ma Sayyid Zahra.
Why?
Religion is summarized in that khutbah. Our deen, our aqidah, tawheed, nubuwwah, imamah, everything is in that khutbah.
Beautiful. Okay, what advice would you give to a 15-year-old Sayyid Rida right now? And also why? So
if I was to go back in time and...
Yeah, you go back, you're 15 years old, you can speak to yourself. Yeah. Seen that Spider-Man meme when they're playing each other?
Yeah.
That's you. What advice do you give?
Keep going, trust in what Allah has prepared for you, and never forget the Imam of your time.
Beautiful. Okay, lightening the mood. Simach Mazgoof, and we'll explain that for the brothers and sisters. It's Iraqi fish, and it's cooked at the edge of the coal. So it's like smoked, cooked fish, which you've got you hungry already.
Yeah.
Or Timin al-Quzi. Quzi is like lamb shank, basically. Bro. Which is your, if you had to choose one to eat for the rest of your life, what are we choosing?
It's probably the most difficult question. Depends on my mood, but I think right now I'm craving a simach.
Simach Mazgoof, yeah? That's the Basra coming up.
Basrawi, yeah. I've got to stick to that, yeah.
Okay, cool. Getting back seriously again, who is the Imam of the 12 Imams that you feel closest to?
The Imam of my time, Sahib al-Asr.
Imam al-Hujjah.
Yeah.
Why?
I feel like everything that I do is for him. He's the center of my world. And I always try to please him. And every time I go through a tough time, he's the first person I speak to.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's actually something that a few people have said on the show, that having that relationship where you speak to the Imam is something that we shouldn't take for granted.
Crucial.
Yeah.
Crucial.
Okay, next question. Of the Mudarrisi family, who is your favourite Sayyid?
No.
You mentioned, I'm sorry, to the Sada.
That's why you
Sada
told me.
al-Karam. You can't skip. Of the Mudarrisi family, who's the favourite Sayyid?
I can't plead the fifth?
No, you can't.
Sayyid Mehdi was the one who inspired me to start. I feel like right now the closest person who I'm with that's really helping me is, I would say Sayyid Hussein Mudarris.
Sayyid Hassan. Okay. Apologies to all the other Sada.
Can I just say Sayyid Fadil, where everyone will be pleased and Mudarris will be pleased?
Is he a Mudarrisi?
He's not, but...
In that case, no, you can't. Okay, this is the first time you've been to London. The IHTV team, MSA, Sayyid Murtada, Mr. Ma'ash,
yes.
Salman Bhai.
Yes.
Who do you like the most out of all of them?
No, you're evil, man. You're trying to cause problems. This is my first time coming here. I'm not gonna come here anymore. Nah, look, I love all of them, honestly. Like, they've been amazing.
Who do you love the most?
But I have...
I haven't included myself because I'm not officially part of the team, so I won't be upset, don't worry. But who do you love the most? Apart from me?
Apart from you, yeah, of course. Yeah. My favourite banter is probably with MSA.
MSA, yeah?
Yeah, I enjoy my time with MSA.
Okay.
It's fun.
Favourite sport from the following? Aussie rules football, rugby league, soccer or cricket?
God, no. Football. Soccer. Football. I don't watch any of the Australian sports.
You're not Australian?
Nah, man.
No?
It's football. It's soccer. It's always been that way.
Okay, good. If you could be anywhere in the world right now, press a button, you're anywhere in the world, where would you go?
You want the religious answer or the actual
I want the real answer.
If I was religious answer, obviously I'll say Karbala. Everyone yearns to be in Karbala. And I actually would love to be in Karbala, but I would love to go to Italy.
Yeah? Have you been before?
Nah, I would love to go.
It's nice.
Yeah,
you should go.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, look, I can sit here and say Karbala.
No, I love that about you.
No. Italy, man.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you mentioned Karbala means that you'd love to be there as well.
Yeah.
The non-religious part, maybe Italy. Nice. Okay.
Rome.
Yeah, Rome's cool. Rome's nice.
Yeah, that's where I want to go.
Okay. Penultimate question. What are the 3 most important traits to you when you're looking for a wife?
Man,
I'm going
yo. Okay. Alrighty. 3 you said?
3.
Loyalty.
Loyalty.
Like, can we just say without the question of religion, like that's pretty, or do I include that within the 3?
No, I think you've got to include it.
Okay. Loyalty, religiousness.
Yep.
And loyalty, religion, and akhlaq.
Nice.
Those 3, I feel like, great foundation.
Lovely. And the last question, in 1 sentence, summarize the meaning of life for you.
Imam al-Mahdi, Allah Ta'ala Farajah Sharif, and his service.
Beautiful. Smashed it. Wasn't that bad?
It was bad. You put me in 2 tough situations with the Mudarrisi one and the IHTV one.
They'll forgive you. Sayyidina, thank you so much.
Appreciate
it's
it,
been
man.
an honour to have you, man. Honestly,
the pleasure's mine.
If you're ever in London, you have a friend now, and if I'm ever in Australia,
you're amazing.
I expect you to look after me.
خدمتك حبيبي. سمعت مسقوف.
Ya Allah. Habibi said, God bless you.
Appreciate it, man. It's been an honour, and thank you for this opportunity.
Honoured to have you.
Allah يحفظك حبيبي.
Thank you very, very much to Sayyid Rada Al-Musawi for that fantastic insight into his life. I hope it was useful for everyone at home. And once again, thank you for joining us on Behind the Wheel. It's always an honour to have new guests, and inshallah we'll be able to see Sayyid Rada on our screens a lot more. And of course, we'll see you very soon as well. So make sure you join us next week to find out who's going to be behind the wheel. Wa jazakumullah khair al-jaza. We ask for your du'as. We'll see you soon. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.